Hey everyone, welcome to this new video. I finally come up with the final version of the music box. As you can see, it took me, well, a lot of tries to get to something that works. We started all the way here, I believe. Oh no, wait, no, it was this one, which was super bad, super slow. No offense, but pretty similar to Sit Back in Minecraft's version. If I do this, you see that it is super slow. Mine also is kind of buggy because of the observers. I'm pretty sure that is the same speed Sit Back in Minecraft's machine works at. Kinda slow, so I was wondering, well, what could I do to speed this thing up, right? So my first thought was, why don't I try to speed up the pistons? Which is why I put the observers here to, well, try to speed them up somehow, which made nearly no difference. My second thought was, you know what, if I can't speed up the pistons, why don't I just duplicate the machine and make the second one play offbeat so that I virtually double the speed of the, well, music. Well, basically double the play speed. I'll just have to separate the tracks into two separate ones, one that plays like the even notes and the other one that plays the odd notes, or even beats and odd beats, which is exactly what I did here. This machine ran on two separate clocks, which were super hard to correctly synchronize, which is when I made, was it this one? Yeah, it was this one. It was this version, which allowed both machines to run off of the same clock, which worked a lot better for synchronization. But, you know, it's still super bulky as a machine, so this isn't really an option. I did try to quadruple the number of machines here, which really brought the speed up to, well, a crazy speed. So it really took me a lot of tries to come up with this. And then I thought, you know what, why instead of having a glass belt, why don't we have a note block belt, which is where I started to test out these versions. So then I was like, well, this is good, this works, but what if we tried to add a few more tracks, a few more instruments, which is where I came up with this design. Which, well, by the way, if you didn't notice, they are much more compact since you can fit, well, basically all the notes, all the possible notes, onto a single track, a single block wide, which makes it much more compact, and as you can see, we can play much more complicated stuff. Now, the problem with this machine is that the speed at which the belt spins is completely dependent on these, which I didn't realize until I tried to build this, which is a much longer version of that same song. And if we test this out, if you check this out, you see how slow it is, because for one of these to go off, the previous one needs to go off first. So basically, for every one of these you have in your mechanism, it takes a few tenths of a second longer for the loop to advance one block. So then I hopped onto YouTube and watched Mumbo Jumbo's video on redstone builds everyone should know. And there I saw him show a belt like the ones we made out of glass here. But what is special about his belt is that it runs twice as fast as ours. Because instead of having an individual row activating every time, he has two piston rows activating simultaneously. So in this case, he'd have this row and this row activate at the same time, pushing this glass up, this glass down, and then he'd have this row activate and push this here, and this row activate and push it here. So what I decided to do was to implement that into our machines. I had to play around with some vertical clocks. I found this mechanism on some forum online. I don't remember the exact forum, but I used this vertical clock to make the whole thing more compact, since we had to connect, well, rows of pistons which were pretty far apart. And this is the design I finally came up with. So I did modify it a bit. I have a snare here and a whatever the other thing is called. So this vertical clock, as I explained earlier, makes this bottom row of pistons and that upper row of pistons run simultaneously, and on the next clock tick, yeah, it makes this upper row and that bottom row run simultaneously. And all you need to do to activate this is just place a redstone here, and the whole mechanism just comes to life. So let's go. Now, I don't really know how we could further improve this version. Well, apart from duplicating it. Yeah, I know, I'm all about duplicating. But other than that, to be honest, I'm pretty happy with this version. And I'd be happy to sit back in Minecraft, well, use it. So yeah, anyway, if you found this useful or just enjoyed listening to me yap about redstone for a bit, like, subscribe, whatever, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye 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 bye.